Hello Pokefans, this is Chibi Z coming to you live from Bulba Tube. Well, as live as a pre-recorded segment can be. Today we're going to talk about some weird species from Generation 4, so sit back, relax, and I will walk you through it. To start it off, Torterra is the continent Pokemon, which can be taken one of two ways. One, he is continent, meaning he can control his bladder, or two. Wait, crap, did someone else already do this joke? Do you have a crush? You know, an apple of your eye. Me neither. Well, at least not a crush that isn't an anime character. Speaking of eyes, in the English version, Luxray is the Gleam Eyes Pokemon, whereas in the original Japanese version, he is known as the Piercing Eyes Pokemon. Let's take a second and look at what those two words mean. To gleam is to shine brightly, especially with reflected light, and to pierce is to make a hole with a sharp instrument. Maybe I've been tainted because there's a fairy-type move called Dazzling Gleam, but the word pierce just seems so much fiercer than gleam. It's time we have a talk about the Combuskins and the Combees. Combee is the tiny bee Pokemon in the English version, which is quite off compared to its Japanese equivalent of bee larva Pokemon. I could see how Combee is tiny compared to Vespiquen, but come on, it is clearly a flying piece of honeycomb. You know, the place where bee larva is matured. I guess Game Freak didn't want kids to ask questions about the birds and the bees. Let's talk about Honchkrow, the big boss Pokemon. Damn right it is! Look at that magnificent thing! And by boss, we don't mean a boss like what you'd expect to fight at the end of a Mega Man level. We're talking boss like, screw the rules, I have money kind of boss. Is it possible to stab someone with your mouth? I guess if you bite them, but that'd be your teeth, right? Well, Croagunk and Toxicroak are known as the Poison Stab Pokemon, but in their English version, they are the Toxic Mouth Pokemon, which gives me the idea that you wouldn't want to kiss this frog to see if it could turn into a prince. Yuck. What would you be more afraid of? A monster in your closet or an ogre in your closet? If you said you'd be more afraid of a monster, make sure to move to Japan, because Drapion species there is Monster Scorpion. If you said ogre, then make sure you live in an English-speaking country, because Drapion species in English is the Ogre Scorpion Pokemon. I wonder if he lives in a swamp. Carnivine is the Bug Catcher Pokemon. Now, knowing that, it surprises me that none of the Bug Catcher trainers have this. Seriously, catch yourself some decent bugs. In both the English and the Japanese version, Glaceon is known as the Fresh Snow Pokemon. Leafeon, on the other hand, got two different species names. In English, it is the verdant Pokemon, meaning green with grass or other rich vegetation. In Japan, it is known as the verdure Pokemon, meaning the fresh green color of vegetation. Screw it, I'm combining the two. It is now the verdantly verdure Pokemon. He is the Captain Planet of Pokemon and he is here to make the world a better place. Or something like that. Ever play Zelda Windwaker? If you haven't, you may want to avoid it if you get seasick easily. Phione in English is the Sea Drifter Pokemon, which is nautical miles away from its Japanese species name of Ocean Pokemon. The translators do realize the difference between seas and oceans, right? And since we are on the topic of getting scurvy, Manaphy is the Seafaring Pokemon, which refers to the act of traveling by sea regularly. Then there is his Japanese species name, which is the Migration Pokemon. I say we just put the two together and call him the Immigration Pokemon. Problem solved! Or did the problems just begin? Arceus is known as the Creation Pokemon in its original Japanese game. In English, however, he is known as the Alpha Pokemon, representing the idea of being the first of its kind, the beginning of something. It also means that the Pokemon God favors Kyogre, and thus purchasing Alpha Sapphire will be the correct choice. Team Aqua was right, guys. Need more proof? Where do you think the I heard you like Mudkips memes came from? Team Aqua started that meme in hopes to capture your attention and to prime you into liking water Pokemon. Need more proof? The Avatar cycle is currently on the element of water. I'll just let that sink in. Subscribe before you pledge allegiance to the Water Tribe. Korra would want you to. This has been Chibi Z. Thanks for stopping by.
Groudon is the continent Pokemon, which can be taken one of two ways. One, he is continent, meaning he's able to control his bladder. Or two, he's a giant landmass. Feel free to make a choice. I know I've made mine.
I chose the first one.
Of course you did.